Bon dia, buenos dias, ¿qué tal? Great to see you all here. My goodness, welcome to the Corporate Innovator Summit at 4 years from now here at the beautiful Agora stage. Now, if we haven't met before, my name is Oisin Lunny. I help great people, companies, and organizations tell their best stories through podcasts, through media, and also through events like the mighty 4 years from now, right at the heart of Mobile World Congress every year. Now, I think I've been to every single edition of 4 years from now. I used to go to MWC when it happened at Cannes, if anyone else can remember for that long ago in technology terms, and it's a real honor to be here hosting the Agora stage today and telling you about some awesome things that are going to be happening right here, right now. I have a little request from you. We want to make everybody else jealous. We want to make some FOMO outside in the world. So please feel free to take some photographs of our amazing speakers when they come on stage. Maybe share it on social media and LinkedIn and use the hashtag 4YFN25 so the 4 years from now people can see it and they can amplify it and make everyone else jealous. So let's work on that FOMO together. Thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're here for the Corporate Innovator Summit. This is going to be happening this morning here on the Agora stage, and it's going to be continuing on Thursday on the Sky stage, and I'll be there as well. And we have a really fantastic lineup of content for you. So as many of you know, for companies that are looking to secure a competitive advantage through open innovation practices, well, surely digital startups and AI technology is the way forward. So these offer differentiated, scalable opportunities for you to onboard some leading edge solutions and really supercharge your reputation and your technology. So today on the Agora stage, we are bringing together established tech transformation teams and on-the-rise innovators from different sectors and markets to share some best practices, to share advice on avoiding pitfalls, and also to give guidance on rolling out new AI solutions effectively. So this is a vital discussion for corporates looking to match the speed of their startup counterparts and accelerate the rollout of new technologies into the market. Now, I do appreciate it's first thing in the morning, but up here on the stage, we really do feel it when we are welcomed as speakers, as guests, as moderators. So I would really love for you to give your very warmest. We've had 2 coffees and we're not afraid to show it. We're going to give a big welcome to our moderator for our first opening sessions of the morning. She is the CEO and co-founder of Bilakatu and with. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Marisol Menendez. Gracias. Hi, Sol. Brilliant. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. How are you all today? We are doing the first session in this stage at 4 years from now. Are you happy? Are you excited? I will take the advice of taking pictures. Do you want to do a selfie with me? Let's do that. Say hello. Hey. Well, guys, thank you very much. And it's a great pleasure to be here today because this is a very important session. We begin the day talking about culture, building a culture of innovation in large enterprises. It's a huge challenge. We are living in an era characterized by speed and complexity. Some say that we are in a bunny world. Have you heard about that? It means brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. Maybe that sounds familiar, not to us. But for me, that's not a pretext for anguish. It's more like a get ready to surf the spirit. We need to be ready to live and dive into this very dynamic world. So innovation is a necessity, and culture of innovation is really critical in large organizations. We know that large organizations need balance, stability, and efficiency while fostering agility and adaptability. That's, I think, the challenge that we are all facing. And if we think about the ecosystems, we can maybe create an example with startups being like the living lab of the world, and investors being those who are getting the fuel into the system for the machine running. And what are corporations and large organizations? They are the infrastructure, the big settling and database of customers the scaffolding for creating these innovations and distributing that into the market. So in all these contexts, we know that people in each of these different characters of the ecosystem are at the core. So culture is really critical to think about in all that context. Of course, technology is an enabler. We know it. We are here today at Mobile Worldwide Congress at 4 years from now, and we are talking about technology. But you know what? I have a favorite phrase that I keep very close to my heart that says, the most important future innovations will come not from new technology, but from new ways of collaborating. And I truly believe that. My name is Marisol Menendez, and I dedicate my life to innovation, open innovation, collaboration, and ecosystem orchestration. And that's why I'm so excited to be talking about these topics today. So, guys, people is at the core of innovation, and we need to connect that with technology. And today we have this magnificent session. We will begin with a very interesting fireside chat, and then move forward to a panel conversation. So let's begin this very dynamic conversation, and I will invite our first two guests into stage. Please, let's kick the fireside chat by inviting Joe Depa, Global Chief Innovation Officer at EY. Welcome, Joe. Hello.
Thank you.
And Can Terciolu, Group CEO of Vion. Very welcome to
Thank you
Joe.
very much.
Good to see you.
Hi, Joe.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us, 4Y, 4FN. It's great to be here. Welcome.
Thank you
Good
for
morning.
having me, Joe.
Yeah, nice to see you, Khan. Nice to see you. Let's get started. So you are at the helm of an organization with over 160, you're touching over 160 million people with digital services, and you design your company as a digital operator. What does that mean?
So we are a frontier markets digital operator. We operate in Ukraine, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. 500 million people live in these countries. And by the way, they speak Urdu, Bengali, Kazakh, Uzbek, and Ukrainian, not English, French, and Japanese, and Chinese. So they are growing economies, and they are unserved people. Why do we call ourselves a digital operator, or why do we define our business as a consumer and enterprise services business, which happens to have a telecom license? And we do have telecom licenses in these countries. And the way we see the markets growing, that we acquire customers through our capabilities of providing them communication services, but we immediately engage with them in areas such as financial services, entertainment, education, and healthcare. And naturally, for our enterprise customers, cloud services, systems integration. And this allows us to be relevant to our customers every single minute in a day. A traditional telecom company, compared to a digital operator, would be relevant to its customer base about 32 minutes. You know, selling number of gigabytes, selling number of minutes, number of SMSs is not what customers understand and value. If you want to be relevant to your customers, you need to provide meaningful digital services. TV offers, radio offers, media services, financial services, digital wallets, payment systems, nano-loans, healthcare platforms, provide them education and access. And that's really what we do in these countries. We have about 160 million communication services customers. But on top of that, in these countries, we have 40 million financial services customers, about 30 million entertainment customers, close to 30 million healthcare customers, and through our super apps, almost 10 million people get education services.
Wow, that's a lot. So let's talk about AI. That's the topic of the day, obviously, at Mobile World Congress. Tell us about your approach to AI. What are you doing today? How is it going? And what are some use cases that you're applying?
Sure. Look, there is no doubt that AI is going to redefine all the industries. But I strongly believe that if you are an entrepreneur, you need to search for an unmet need. And you need to focus on what matters. What matters is the customers. You're going to be going around in this conference, and you will hear from every telecom company in the world things around how they will use AI to optimize their networks, reduce their cost, customer service, replace call centers, all sorts of stuff. And yes, it is important to do all these things. At the end of the day, advantage to have a cost-cutting program cannot be beaten by any other stuff easily. But if you want to be successful, you need to focus on what matters. What matters is the customer, and what matters is to provide agentic AI to your customers. There is no more powerful value proposition than offering your customers an augmented version of themselves. Imagine in Kazakhstan, in Astana, a young mother trying to take care of his kid in terms of his medical and mental development. Create a tool for her in Kazakh language, which will make her skills, competences, and experiences more relevant for that task. Imagine a teacher in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, in Bengali language, making him capable of accessing the best medical knowledge experience in the world through that augmentation of agentic AI. Or basically a teacher. Create thousands of teachers who can teach algebra to 6-year-olds, right? And these are the things which will matter. That's why we are working in developing local language LLM models. The first one we developed actually was through a partnership with the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. And it's a Kazakh language, Kazakh, Turkish, and Russian language LLM model. Those are the languages spoken in Kazakhstan. And soon we will develop the Kyrgyz and Uzbek versions of this LLM, which will help us actually offer our customers a better and augmented version of themselves. Let's make a teacher a more effective teacher, a doctor, a more capable doctor, a mother and father, a better parent. And those are the things we can do. And I think our type of companies, the digital operators, are the best ones to lead these initiatives in the countries. Sovereign AI is something that I think is our responsibility, and we have to deliver on that.
Absolutely. That brings up the next topic, public trust in AI. How do you ensure that you're embedding AI into your business operation in a way that's responsible?
Look, first of all, there is nothing artificial in artificial intelligence. And I think the reason that we are often afraid of it, we know that we also lie, hallucinate, and manipulate. That's also what AI can do. But it is us. So I think in order to really put a perspective in it, I try to not use the word artificial intelligence. I think this is about augmentation of skills and capabilities of individuals. And accountability stays with the individual. The individual who uses that technology, agentic AI, is that individual's judgment, values, and accountability. That's why I think we will, as a company, focus on augmented intelligence, taking into account that there is always a human at the center of decisions and actions. And I think through augmenting our customers' capabilities and skills, and ultimately, of course, our own people's capabilities and skills, we will find the right balance.
Yeah, so that brings up the talent component. So investing in AI, how are you thinking about your talent and how you're investing in the workforce of the future?
Look, I think the talent is, and bringing up the new waves of talent with these capabilities is going to be one of the most important things in the industry. The way I see this is certain values like curiosity, certain attitudes like asking the right questions. It's not necessarily the experience that we are looking for in a particular field, but appetite to experiment and learn new things is how I define the talent. And I think, it's really important to engage with the expectations of the young generations to be able to keep them engaged in the jobs that they are doing.
Absolutely. So you think about your talent strategy and training. You've got 17,000 people in your organization. How are you equipping them with the right skills and knowledge to leverage this new AI solutions?
One of the things that we care about our company is how our people feel energized, feel about themselves, and our company. We are privileged to be part of the telecommunications industry. This is a purposeful industry with a huge impact on society, doing good things and also doing good business. And I think we have to cherish this. When I look to platforms, actually independent platforms like Glasshouse, and seeing how people, our people, sometimes candidates for jobs, sometimes people who has left our company, talks about company, engages about company, thinks about company, that's what I think we should be all proud about. Because that's the radio waves, the energy that we radiate as a company. And I'm very happy that in all the markets that we operate in, we are #1 in our industry in terms of the place to work and to be attractive to the young engineers and also young marketing and salespeople.
Absolutely. We did a study at EY on barriers to success for adoption, and it was seen that training is actually the #1 in terms of what needs to happen, and something around 18% of executives say that you've got enough invested in training. So I agree with you. There's no executive I've met that has said they've overinvested in training. Usually the return on investment is there.
Absolutely.
So if we agree AI is the future, which we all agree with, what things should companies do? What are the fundamental skills that businesses should be investing in to stay ahead of the AI adoption curve?
Look, I think AI is not the future. AI is today.
Yeah.
And if you are not part of this wave of change, you are probably already late. But also, with AI comes the challenge of the divide we used to have. Remember the people who used to have internet access versus not. It's the same thing with AI. And there are only 7 languages in the world that are research-rich, and they are ready for really being trained for an LLM model. And many languages, actually Catalan in Barcelona is one of them, is not necessarily going to be a natural AI language unless somebody invests in it. That's actually what inspired me in the Barcelona supercomputer story, that we have to take proactive actions to make sure that we create the LLM models for the languages that our customers utilize. And I think this is the only way to avoid that digital divide actually getting deeper and creating a huge disadvantage for countries who are not necessarily, having these tools available for them.
Absolutely. All right, last question. So we're sitting here with members of the business, technology, startup communities, and whether an organization is just starting or they're decades in, like yourselves, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give this audience today?
Look, I think entrepreneurship is a sacred skill. One thing which I sometimes observe is creating businesses to sell the business. If you are passionate about a business, create a business, a sustainable business, to grow it. Not start the job with the idea of how do I sell, how do I flip this asset. And I think the people who starts with that passion and who has very basic principles, not going after vanity KPIs like active users or some sort of a gross merchandising value, but having basic principles like unit economic model, creating value, meeting an unmet need. These are the important things I believe differentiates in between temporary vanity and success versus long-term business value creation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Khan.
Thank you,
It's
Joe.
a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Well, how about that? It's a perfect way to kick off the week, don't you think? Let's keep the conversation rolling. Well, we are now getting ready to our panel. I wanted to introduce myself first. My name is Marisol Menendez, and I will be together with you in this session. And allow me to invite to stage Martin Tanto from Pegasus Tech, Joe Deepa from EY again, and Borja Narbonilla from Plug and Play. Welcome them to the stage with a strong round of applause, please. Hello, Borja, Martin, Joe, come together with me. How are you today?
Very good.
Excellent.
Let's get ready to talk about innovation. This is my true passion, so this is a perfect moment for me. So, first of all, for you to know who we are here on stage, I'll introduce myself first. As I was saying, my name is Marisol Menendez, and in reality, I've been working in this intersection between corporate culture, innovation, and ecosystems for more than 20 years. I have been lucky enough to be appointed to create the Open Innovation Unit at BBVA, where I was the global head of Open Innovation, building this culture from innovation from scratch and within the corporation at global level, which was truly a life-changing experience. Later, I worked in South Summit. I think that many of you know that multicultural, multi-sector, multi-player ecosystem, and built an ecosystem in the Nordics connecting Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden in this collective effort of creating innovation, beginning with the finance world and growing also multi-sectorally. Later on, I founded my own company, which is called Bilakatu. I'm CEO of that, and WID, which is an ecosystem of female leaders. And we spent all our time thinking about innovation, culture, corporations, government, and all this setting of multiplayer actors. As I was saying before, there's this quote that I keep in my heart, thinking about how we can represent the connection among all players to create innovation. And it's this phrase that says that the most important future innovations will come not from new technology, but from new ways of collaboration. We are living in a rapid transformation where innovation is not just an opportunity, but it's mandatory. And we need to create this balance between efficiency, agility, tradition, and transformation, connecting with people and embedding technology. So we know that it's a challenge to build a true culture of innovation within corporations. No? I lived it firsthand. I lived the challenge of creating and intertwining the differences, not only about culture and countries, but roles, areas, departments, and all the different elements that create our ecosystems. So the question is, how do we get innovation into the DNA? So I'm thrilled to be joined by you guys today to bring these unique perspectives of corporate innovation, venture capital, a startup acceleration. Let's put that together in a mix and mix it. Let's dive into the discussion. And I would very much like to invite each of you to introduce yourself and tell us what's your personal journey, maybe in a way that what led you today to be here today in this stage, and what's your perspective in the context of innovation and culture. So if we can begin together with, with you, Borja.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisol.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Borja Aznar. I'm the managing director at Plug and Play. We're one of the world's largest innovation groups in terms of augmenting digital transformation for different multinationals across the globe. My background, coming to your question, is based more in finance and distribution. I've spent most of my life first in Asia Pacific, nearly 10 years, and then more recently in the States, the last 6, where I helped a small reproductive genetics company grow very much, and we sold it in November 2021 for 1.3 billion, and it was a huge success. So starting from a small startup and growing to a large group in less than 7 years was quite remarkable. This opened my appetite to do more stuff around startups, so no better place than Plug and Play to enjoy the journey. Good morning, everyone.
That's perfect. We all know and love Plug and Play and everything that you're also doing at worldwide level, no? Go ahead, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marisol. Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin Tanto. I'm a partner at Pegasus Tech Ventures. Pegasus Tech Ventures is a global venture capital firm. We're based in San Jose in Silicon Valley. We have over $2 billion in assets under management. We write checks between 500K and 2 million, industry agnostic. And what kind of is a little bit different, and what also fits very, very well to the topic is that we're not just a venture capital firm, but we work very closely with our corporate partners. Large corporations who usually run with us a single LP fund. So we manage over 30 funds. Each one just has one LP, one partner, and we really help these partners with their corporate venturing strategy and actually do the investments for them. So that's about Pegasus. My own way was being an entrepreneur. I actually founded 3 companies, sold them, actually founded one here in Barcelona, sold them in the US, and then later on founded my own venture capital firm called Bilakatu Ventures before I joined Pegasus.
Very interesting, no? We have this startup world, now we're bringing in the investment perspective. Let's go to the corporate side of it, corporate innovation. Joe, can you please tell us about you?
Happy to, thank you. My name's Joe Deppa. I am the Global Chief Innovation Officer for EY. And what that means is I have a belief in something called applied innovation. And that means how do we actually take ideas and apply them to real world problems and enact value. One of the things that we do in my role is we focus on data. So I have the Chief Data Officer and his team report to me. And that's really important at EY. We do over 1 trillion analyzed financial data sets per year. We have over 50% of the Fortune 500 companies' data from a tax and audit perspective. So data is really foundational to all of the innovation that we create, whether it's new products and services or the ways that we operate from an efficiency perspective. The second component is around trust and responsible AI, and how do you create mechanisms to actually enable that within our organizations that we work with. And the third is what we call the innovation muscle. So how do you create a culture of change management that allows you to rapidly innovate at speed? And that speed is getting faster and faster, as you know, every day. So I'm excited to be here. One quote that I like to think about in terms of this context is Thomas Edison said, "The value of an idea is in the act of actually using it." And so that's what I'm about today.
So very interesting. We already have the keywords here in the middle just for us to begin talking about that. No, we are talking about change, technology, investment, growth, partnerships with the startups. And we know, like, thinking from the large enterprise perspective, we need to balance this continuous growth and stability with innovation. No, that's the challenge. So isn't just about getting the right ideas and connecting with the right ideas, but also embedding this way of thinking throughout the DNA of the company. So let's start here. And my first question for all of you guys is, what does a true culture of innovation look like in a large corporation? It's an easy question. And how do we create it? Who wants to start? Go ahead, Borja, please.
Well, how it should theoretically be. So ideally, in this sense, culture innovation pretty much ideally should have certain senior management buy-in to make sure that from the very top of the company, they're really going to be like supporting this journey, because it's not going to be easy all the time. With this being said, to really span this sort of culture throughout the organization, you will need, of course, resources, and we will speak maybe about it a little bit on how to really adjust this. The right mentality, it's not just the buy-in, but also acceptance to failure, because some projects may go south, unfortunately, hopefully not, but it may happen. And then also within the culture, embedding really that mentality that things may go or take longer. It also means that certain parts of the company allow you to play with certain projects around innovation. So the hackathons, the innovation labs, the whatnot are of course quite important in our opinion, and ideally in a corporate culture that really wants to embrace open innovation should ideally have this on their mindsets. And of course, as I just said, like our experience at Plug and Play, we work with over 600 multinationals across the world to assist on their culture of corporate innovation. So we have a very good sense in this. And to your point, it's really, to wrap it up, it would be basically to align the expectations from both sides, the corporate world and the startup.
So interesting and very aligned to the way we work, because I like to say that first we need to be clear in the strategy and have this management buyout, no, in terms of supporting. This means also that you put the money, processes, organization to do that, and have the right KPIs to measure success, and align mindsets. Very interesting. What about you, Martin? What do you think?
Well, you were asking specifically, like, how does it look like in the end if you actually have a corporate culture of innovation, right? And I want to add one point to what you're saying. I think it's critical eventually that everybody in the company, and I mean everybody in the company from the receptionist to the CEO, knows what is their corporate innovation mission. And we're going to talk later how we get there, okay? But when you ask, like, how does it look like? And one way of kind of finding out is ask your employees. Like, ask your employees, what is our corporate mission? How do we get to innovation? If the answer is a question mark, then you're not there yet. And I give you one example. We probably don't know the corporate mission of too many companies in the world. But one many of us know, Google, to organize the world's information and make it readily available for everyone. It's very interesting. I've personally never worked for Google, but it's one of the few corporate missions I know. And I think it's amazing. And I think this is a way, getting there is really something where everybody in the organization is tasked with innovation, is knowing where the company is going to, is trained on innovation. We can talk more a little bit about that. That's, I think, what an end goal could be for, am I an innovative company?
So very interesting, because creating this awareness helps to create this alignment with everyone, but that doesn't mean that you share your secrets with everyone. It means that you establish these bridges to let knowledge flow, no? So I like your perspective, Martin. Thank you very much, Joe.
So I agree with both of you. I would add that one of the things I often say about innovation at EY is that none of us have all the answers anymore. And what that means is we have to actually create an open innovation ecosystem. So one of the things I do at EY is I work with our startup community, our partners, our alliance partners, as well as other corporations in academia and governments to figure out how do we put together all of our collective strengths to come up with the right answer, and realize that there is no one person that's going to have that answer anymore. So that's number one. Number two is then how do you industrialize innovation and create the culture? And from that perspective, you've mentioned some of these. One is you need leadership buy-in from the very top, for sure. And you also need the KPIs, so key performance indicators, attached to the way that we evaluate our employees, so that if they do experiment with something and it fails, that's not going to be seen as a failure, it's going to be seen as a success. So having an open innovation ecosystem and tying that to the KPIs and the way that we evaluate our employees is really important.
And it's relevant in terms also to evaluate how innovation and the innovation strategy contributes to this overall vision of the organization. At the end, we need to keep it aligned, no? But you are Chief Innovation Officer, no? You're managing innovation in your daily life. My question for you, what's the role of technology in all of this? No, you are embedding emerging technologies, you're talking about data and all the artificial intelligence. What's the role of technology?
So when we think about innovation, I believe that you have to start with the business problem that you're trying to solve and the value that you're going to create, and then you enable with technology, right? So technology should not be seen as a solution. It should only be seen as a way to enable some business problem. So that's step one. And the way we think about technology in terms of innovation is, number one, we start with data. So how do you combine synthetic data with real-world data to create something that can hopefully drive new business decisions and new products and services? That's the first key to success. The second is we believe that all of our startup community, our partners, our corporate ecosystems have to have trust. So how do you create trust within the brand and create the right environment so that the end consumers can trust that brand? And the third is what I call the next frontier of innovation, which is really focused on what's coming next and how do we get ready for what that looks like. So that could be, right now it could be quantum, it could be crypto AI, digital currency, blockchain. You hear a lot of these terms in today's ecosystem at Mobile World Congress. And the hard part for organizations is figuring out, where do I focus? And how do I make sure that I don't get caught flat-footed? Many organizations that we've worked with, when it came to generative AI, they felt like they were a little bit behind in terms of not being able to capture that next wave of growth. And so we're really focused at EY of trying to get ready with our people, with our processes, with our training, so that whatever the next wave of growth is, we can harness that.
So interesting, because we're talking about growth and how to harness it through technology, which is a huge enabler for that. You were also talking about success, and you referred to that, no? How do we measure success? I always say that success indicators, the KPIs, are kind of capricious, because you put it like a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, and success definition changes, no? But we are talking about escalating and innovation, and we are talking about money in investment, no? So what's the role of investment, and in terms of how organizations bring this success of scaling and having startup behaviors? Like, what can we learn from investment here?
I mean, we try to see it, of course, a lot from a corporate perspective, because corporates is that who we partner with. And what we at Pegasus really try to do is help them embrace this open innovation ecosystem that already is there, that already exists. Some people don't realize. In a sense of innovative startups are already out there. Your customers are out there, and you might be talking to them and understanding what they are up to. Events like, for a year from now, Mobile World Congress are already out there. So our mission at Pegasus is to leverage that, and leverage that not only in terms of reaching out to the open innovation ecosystem, but also to invest in startups, and to do business with startups. And why I say also business with startups is because you just mentioned KPIs, and that's actually very interesting. Because of course, you know, from a VC perspective, you could say our KPIs are just around an IRR or whatsoever, and you know, this is it. But what we see at the companies that we work with is that the strategic perspective is a much more important one that you might think. Actually, we obviously ask our partners in ranking, why are you working with us, and what do you really see out there? How do you leverage working together with startups? And the number one answer is, we want to build strategic partnerships with these startups. We want to learn from them. We want to integrate their products. We want to buy from them. We want to sell to them or whatsoever. And eventually, of course, it's also dollar KPIs, but it's not the most important one.
Yeah.
And we like that, and we like to help these companies leverage that.
Yeah, if I may, like wrapping your previous question, what Joe was saying, like trust is critical. You know, with no trust on the table, things are going to be quite complex, and to really align the KPIs that we constantly speak about. There's tons of KPIs, and I know there's a couple of sessions going on around KPIs on investments and whatnot. But giving a step back to your question around the role that technology plays, technology is an enabler, and you know, you just need to check this Congress, how it has been evolving over the last course of years, which is of course paramount to any given industry, but leadership and strategy, as Martin are saying, are the true enablers that are going to be guiding the boat, let's say, forward. So technology, of course, and I know there's super nice sessions coming out this week around AI, which is in everyone's word and whatnot, but without a good, solid strategy and you know, the right buy-in from leadership, corporates may sometimes face, you know, roadblocks because either their IT department is flooded of projects and open innovation doesn't really get the right traction. So from Plug and Play, we do try to advise in certain ways for corporations to really find ways to do the famous and so anxious called pilots, and that this eventually triggers something both for the corporate and the startup. But yeah, trying to connect what my colleagues were saying.
This is interesting because we keep coming forward to the definition, well, the strategy, no, the definition of success and the leadership buyout. I remember that we we always were saying, like, how do we report the advancement that we are having? How do we gain the patience of the leadership? Because at the end, we're talking about innovation, no? So I proposed some tools that they are like the Open Innovation Strategy Canvas, so we can map out the strategy. And I have a KPI canvas. And my proposal there is to define short-term, mid-term, and long-term KPIs. The way I put it is like, for example, if I wanted to run a marathon, and I get a sponsor. I don't run, guys, that's one thing. And today I began training. Maybe my advisors or whatever would tell me, you need to sleep well, you need to eat well, and begin running a little bit. If I reported to my investors, when they ask me, how's the marathon going? And I tell them, oh, I slept 8 hours. They would say, this is not working because we are not paying you to sleep, no? So I think innovation sometimes is like that, and you need to be able to explain the road towards the final goal and gain this patience. In terms of KPIs, not only money KPIs, but also, I don't know, projects, innovations, culture, customer engagement, you know? How do you see in your daily lives maybe data-driven decisions, or how can we help internally our employees and our company to make this culture in the little details? That's a new question I'm thinking about right now. Sorry to bring it forward, but I think that devil is in the details, no? How do we do it? Yeah, go ahead, Borja. Go ahead.
Okay. So the details you're saying, absolutely. Time. You need to basically, I think everyone knows here, the Google, you were mentioning Google, they're 80-20. Theoretically, every employee at Google has 20% of their time to think on innovation and try new stuff. That's a first that hopefully other corporates can allow. With that time allowance, you need training. So if you don't really train your team, then they will either go or they will find somewhere else that they do get that training, because also another topic, not in this topic, is retaining talent on innovation that we could speak for hours. And then also the cross-functional experiences. The real wealth, as Martin was pointing out, to really understand the culture of innovation from a corporate, is if you have a team that has visibility across a large multinational, and you can really breathe it in, and then you can really understand what could really potentially be a good trigger for the company, starting with small details, but really building up a funnel of KPIs, experiences, and really understanding the pain points of the company.
That's a very interesting point. I don't know, maybe we can do a survey right now. By a show of hands, how many of you feel that you have the time, the resources, and this cultural possibility within your organization to get to know and learn new things? Can you raise your hand? This is a good show. And maybe if we count for this time of you today sitting here, we can even raise our hand a little bit higher, no? This is so interesting. And what you are talking about in the academic world is defined as absorptive capacity. The capacity that we are building within our teams to absorb innovation because you have learnings, budget, and structure. Any other perspective?
No, I mean, you mentioned data-driven before, right? And I think it's super critical. I mean, the CVC landscape is also shifting in that way. Very interesting to see right now, because what we're seeing in AI with Perplexity and OpenAI and all the others is definitely hitting venture capital as well. There's a very good blog, podcast out there, Data-Driven VC, and what's happening there. There are lots of tools. We're using them. We're building our own. I think it's going to be one of the major assets as well to set a venture capital firm apart from another venture capital firm. So that much on because you mentioned data-driven. Apart from that, and I want to come back to this innovation training that I think is absolutely crucial, and you mentioned it also, and I think you also in the conversation with Khan before, a definition of a culture of innovation, as the topic is, might be a top-down approach, the leadership team being kind of the innovation champion. But that only works if they engage the rest of the company, and I mean everybody, with enough innovation training. And by the way, also studies have shown that on innovation training, this increases retention of the employees, increases satisfaction of the employees, engagement of the employees. So this is really something that is a win-win situation and a good investment for everybody. Learning concepts like the lean startup from Eric Ries, or blitzscaling, or business model canvas, or many other design thinking, I think is something that everybody in an organization should know about, should learn about, and it is one part, or can be one part of your innovation strategy from a corporate perspective.
I like that perspective. One thing I was going to add is, you're spot on about training. What we see at EY, we have 400,000 people, and we train everybody on some components of AI and strategy. Every quarter you get a refresh. We also have an asset that's called EYQ, which is our large language model asset that our employees can use within EY environment. And what's really interesting about that, we have about 100,000 monthly users, so call them power users. And what we see in the data is that the people that use the tool, EYQ, which is the large language model tool, they actually have better engagement than people that don't use it, meaning they're happier with their jobs, there's better retention, they're more engaged, because they found that the AI is actually helping them to do the work in a way that's creating opportunity for them to think about some of the more creative aspects of their job, and some of the more repetitive remedial tasks they're able to use the EYQ. And I think it's a really good way to think about training in the future. The employees that are using these new tools and technologies are becoming more, they feel more empowered, they feel more enabled, and the ones that aren't are starting to feel like they're being left behind, right? So I think we have to continue to invest in training to make sure that we don't create a much more of a digital divide than what we're seeing in the economy today.
Yes, and I think these kind of initiatives are also a way not only to create this top-down or even bottom-up engagement, but we are opening transversal channels that connect people who are spread out in the organization, learning from new skills. Yep. And these connections, transversal connections, that are also creating new bonds within the company. This is internal open innovation. I think is one of the most interesting tools to build and foster this open innovation strategy. At the end, you find your people, you engage with them, and by interdisciplinary groups, you can grow together. And this is, in large organizations, there's so much talent that creating these structures is very interesting. Well, sadly, everything gets to an end, and we are getting ready to close our session. So my final question for you is, look at all these people. We have so many interesting people from all around the world, different profiles, different perspectives. What would be something you want them to take with them with this reflection about building a culture of innovation within a company? Final thoughts? Borja, you are the first.
I'm the first again. My pleasure. Well, so my 2 cents, Marisol, on this question would be, of course, as true defenders of open innovation and, to embrace the real culture on the corporate world, is you need to really embrace change. That's a given in the world we're living today. Technologies, needless to say, you just, again, need to check this fabulous event. It's going so fast, guys, that, there's always maybe someone out there can really outsmart your even team. So we work, for example, with one of the largest insurance companies in the world. They have 500 data scientists. We still work with them to challenge them because we believe there might be solutions somewhere that can really trigger their team to get something that may be, of course, of great benefit. So embrace change, absolutely yes. And from a corporate world, that mind shift that we've been speaking about of really getting the buy-in is a must. So we're here to really support that. I don't know how to put it, but evangelization in the corporate world, with not taking any political sides or anything, but you know what I mean. To really walk the talk, and with good examples, good trials, good pilots, to really walk the talk and embrace innovation.
And not all the smart people in the world work for you, no? So
no, of course not.
It's very interesting for this. What do you say, Martin?
Well, I mean, just like Borja as well, we're working both with large corporates and with startups. And I think it's exactly what we're trying to facilitate here is that both work more with each other because both need each other. And to the corporates, I want to say, and if it's not obvious already, that there are lots of startups out here, not just at 4 years from now, but elsewhere as well, where it's very worthwhile, where innovation is coming from, and where it makes a lot of sense to partner with these startups, to invest in them, to acquire them in whatever stage they are. And at the startups, and sometimes there's a little bit of a hesitation I see from corporates that are not trained to do this, to actually execute on that. Some do that very well. I've once been in Silicon Valley at an accelerator, and they had Facebook, today Meta, like coming through that accelerator and basically talking to everybody once a week. They just go and just check everybody like, hey, what are you doing? So some do that very well. Others might not do that very well, and there's certainly something that people can improve. And on the other side, for startups, obviously, corporates also want to work with startups. Sometimes they need a little bit help to kind of meet each other, but reach out to them. Reach out to CVCs, reach out to companies directly. There's a win-win here.
This is perfect. And well, I was thinking about everything that you were saying and in terms of the connection and the flow, no? With the startups and with all the players of the ecosystem. Joe?
Yeah, I think the speed of change, as we all know, is only going to get faster from here, right? So if you think about how fast things have moved, if you think about all the different, if you look at history and the industrial evolution, what you saw is that electricity took about 100 years to reach 100 million people. The computer that I see in the room here today, that took about 50 years to reach 100 million people. Smartphones that many of you have in the audience, I can see, it took about 10 years to reach 100 million people. And then the ChatGPT, when it was announced a couple years ago, took 2 months. Right, and now you're seeing almost a weekly, daily news cycle that's starting to happen. And so as a result of that, my one piece of advice is always be learning and embrace the uncomfort, because what's happening is only going to get faster from here. You're doing a great job because you're here today at Mobile World Congress with lots of really smart people learning, and I encourage you to continue to do that and have a lot of fun. This is an amazing time in history, amazing technology. It can really do a lot of good as long as we do it with responsibility. So thank you.
Yeah, all of you brought forward the speed of change, and we are living that. No, I think collaboration has been key for human evolution since we were just creating fire. No, but the speed and complexity, I think, are the two main different ingredients that we have today. And to navigate complexity, we are very good doing that in collaboration. This is the key difference, I think, that we have today. We have many grand challenges that by definition cannot be solved just by one person or one organization. Those wicked problems, which are very big and very huge. By the way, for example, the Sustainable Development Goals are a list of wicked problems that we need to tackle together. In fact, goal number 17 is partnerships for the goals. So that's the importance of collaboration that we have today. Collaboration is also something we live within organizations, that we build with the players of the ecosystems, that we need to inject money to do properly, that with information, data, and technology, we can have superpowers to manage and navigate complexity, no? Well, you know why I love open innovation? I love speaking about this. By the way, every Thursday I have 15-minute conversations about open innovation with academics and authors of the Oxford Handbook of Open Innovation. It's just 15 minutes and we get to discuss all these elements that you were talking today. You can see it in my LinkedIn channel, and on Tuesdays we do that in Spanish, in Martes de Innovación Abierta. So I invite everyone to keep building knowledge, to connect, and of course, use 4 years from now to grow and make your companies better and grow the culture of innovation. Thank you very much, Joe, Martin, and Borja.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
guys.